Well, hello to everybody. Good day. My name is Bob Boise, and I am here to welcome you to this Frankfurt Book Fair live event. I'm here with my colleague Holger Barth, who will introduce himself. I'll just first tell you that I am the Director of Account Development for Springer Nature in the US and Canada. And I work in the Northeast of the United States. I'm coming to you this morning from a rather still dark Massachusetts, Boston area. And I'm glad to be with you today to talk about what we understand our client libraries are doing these days. Holger, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bob, and also a warm welcome from my side. My name is Holger Barth, Senior Account Development Manager at Springer Nature, responsible for the DACH region, and I'm based in the Heidelberg office. And yeah, it's also for me, it's a totally new experience, I have to say. That's my first Frankfurt Book Fair in a virtual environment. I can't remember that we had the same setup like this year. So totally new, and I think it's a very good replacement for the on-site event, which could this year not take place due to the current situation. So yeah, fingers crossed that we see each other next year in person again as an on-site event, so to say. And yeah, so let's get started. And I wish you an interesting session and hand over to you, Bob, to kick off the presentation.
All right, I'm going to turn off my camera so people can focus on the presentation itself, and then I will get us going here. So today our topic is Libraries Today, Services, Safety, and Novelty. We'll be trying to show you what we mean by novelty with some of the new terminology that we're all becoming familiar with, and hopefully you'll get a flavor for some of this new terminology. Yeah. Let me see. Okay, this is just a quick summary first of the event itself. We're putting it in here as a placeholder to anybody who watches this at a later date to describe the event. This is our agenda. We want to start with a little bit of summary of what we're all working with at the current moment, some interesting facts at the beginning, and then we'll take a tour of the world with our library clients and that have reported in and that we've been gathering information from, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of our publishing work that we're trying to do in response to the pandemic. So first we start with a shared situation. In the upper right, you have my beautiful alma mater, Middlebury College in rural Vermont. It's a nice place to be. And I want to start out to use colleges as an example, usually 2,500 students. And all of these colleges, if they can, they want the students to be back on campus. That's obviously for financial reasons, but also just because that's what they do best. But all the colleges had to make a decision over the summer about whether they would reconvene or not. And some colleges, like Smith and Claremont colleges, very excellent colleges, went with 100% distance learning and decided not to bring the students back. Other colleges in rural places like Colby in Maine and Middlebury in Vermont did bring all the students back. And then there was a third way. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, for example, brought some back. Some are living off campus and some are not yet back, and a whole kind of mixture of things to, here's the first novel word, de-densify the campus. I haven't usually heard about de-densification of a college campus, but now we hear about that. Just yesterday, I heard also from the National Student Clearinghouse that their research has shown that undergraduate student enrollment in the United States overall is 4% lower than fall 2019. But the really devastating thing is that the freshman enrollment is down by 16%. That's a large cut to the colleges, and community colleges are being hit just about the worst in the US right now. A quick look at another novel word. We're now learning the word blendflex, which is a combination of in-person and remote classes being smaller. Here you see an example from the University of Central Florida, one of the largest campuses in the United States, talking about what blendflex is, and that this is the new normal for all different types of classes. The problem, the kinds of problems that students are facing, first of all, students, many of them who were admitted to colleges and universities, said, you know what, I'm going to take a year and I'll see you in the fall, of 2021, instead of starting. 20% of Harvard admittees deferred, took a gap year, 10% at lovely Bates College in Maine. This is there are a lot of personal reasons, I'm sure. Students, tuition, don't want to pay for a remote experience. There's a lot of other things, as you can read on this slide, that have been disrupted. But the whole mechanism of having students come to campus, prospective students, and to having admissions officers go to the students to see if they want to come. Campuses are having so many safety measures these days that it's hard to imagine that there's a whole lot of fun that these young people are having, even if they are allowed on campus. There's a new survey out by an education network in the US saying that of the things that are really bothering students right now, 44% of students are feeling stress, anxiety, and just plain loneliness. That's their biggest challenge. That's what they report. And you can compare that to less than half of that 44% said keeping up academically was a problem. So, we have a strange mental health situation going on that we all understand. It's a shared situation. Now we get into the library materials. I'll try to go through this very quickly because I think many of you know what your libraries are doing in your areas, but it's useful, I think, to see the shared experience anyway. What you're looking at the bottom of the page is the top of the web page for the Harvard University Library System. You can see the banner says, well, our buildings are not open. The materials are all online. And I think that's something that we'll be hearing over and over again. But then on the right of the screen, I decided to use an example from a local public library. And I like the term, we're going to be open for limited hours, but it's a grab and go mentality. You come and you go. It's not a lingering kind of experience. There are no chairs and tables in this public library, so don't try to come in and sit down. That's not going to happen. Every library homepage seems to have its list of things that they want to help you with, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Here's a page with some essential services, and again, I'm sticking to the US that I know the best. In the lower right, there's chat with a librarian. I think most of the libraries are wanting to let people know that librarians are available to them. Press the button, let's have a chat. That seems to be a common thing. Some of the other listings on this page tell you about very relaxed kind of borrowing times, extended borrowing times for physical materials, Zoom hours for librarians to help faculty get their classes ready. Librarians are often saying that we can, if an ebook version of a print book is available, we'll try to get it for your classes. And then there's the quarantine. American Library Association came out with a quarantine recommendation of 3 days. So physical items returned to the library are put kind of, in a shelf for 3 days before they are then, available again for circulation. So even the books are under quarantine. I included a quote from a wonderful school, Macalester College, Minnesota, talking about the extended services for teaching faculty, how librarians will help them with a special class just for their students to teach them how to use library materials. All of that being offered online, of course. So these are some of the essential services that we think are core to what libraries are offering right now. Here's another example of a library page. You see at the top the big yellow banner, basically saying, you've got to get into these remote resources and take your whole research and teaching and studying online, and a whole bunch of listings for virtual materials down below in the quick links. This is the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, one of our large colleges, large universities. This is extended services. There in the upper right, you see a picture of Bowdoin College in Maine with the home of the polar bears. And these extended services are ones that I think not every library in the world serving college and university community can afford. I'm putting them here because they are, special and extended. First of all, the shipping of physical items that costs money to ship items to students who may still be at home, physical items, and faculty who may also be working remotely. So shipping of physical items is a cost. Some libraries are willing to do it. Some libraries are willing to do it just for faculty. So there's a mixture of that kind of offering. Some will not do it. Some will order physical items and ship them directly to remote faculty. Others will not do that. Video content, I see a lot of video being used for curriculum nowadays. That's a high level of that. So video services, video vendors are getting a lot of business right now. Some video that is held by the libraries needs to be converted to a way that it can be streamed. That obviously takes time and effort. Digitization of special collections is something that is happening. It's special collections material sometimes being brought even to the homes of librarians where things are digitized. Then there's the addition of kind of systems work that's being done to help people, to help libraries put holds on things for pickup. Stressing that you can come to the library to pick something up, but we really don't want you browsing. Browsing is less common. And then the example I use for Bowdoin is that Bowdoin did spend the money to get an Apple iPad Pro for all its students with Wi-Fi. They call it technology equity. It's not inexpensive, but it's interesting that the concept, again, of technology equity is there. A last from me is just, libraries still want to offer events. So an engagement. This is from the University of British Columbia, one of our top Canadian universities, is showing that they're still going after Science Literacy Week and still offering events, albeit online. And now I'm going to turn it over to Holger to tell us about some of the practices in Europe.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bob. And I picked some examples from Europe, which I would like now show you here. This is an example I picked from the Netherlands. It's from Maastricht University. And also, like we already saw, as all the other libraries, they announce an FAQ section. They have placed it on their library website. In this case, it's about how to borrow books. First of all, they recommend that the users should, of course, search the books in the lib search beforehand and not going to the shelves and browse the books there if possible. If they would go to the shelves, then they have to wear gloves before they touch the books. That's also must be mentioned here. So they have to, as I said, wear the gloves before touching the books and put them out of the shelf. but they could also, using the self-lending machines that are available there, and if they would like to turn back the books and bring them back to the library, they should use the return boxes available in the library, and then the books are going into quarantine for 3 days before they will be placed again in the shelves then. Next slide, please.
Okay.
This is an interesting example, I think, and really outstanding, I would say, also here from Maastricht University. You see this flexible mirror here on wheels. They can place it in the library, so they have several of these placed in the library. And the idea here is that so students could reflect their behavior in looking into these mirrors. So the goal is to raise awareness for a mindful behavior then at the end for the overall health and safety. I think that's a very good idea. So you could also have a look if you, for example, have the right distance to other people in the library. So it's a very innovative and clever idea, I think, and it attracts people having these mirrors in the library. Next slide, please. And this is an example here from Germany. This is from the Technical University in Munich, from their library website. It's also, like many other institutions in Germany and all over the world, place their FAQ sections in the library websites. And here it's the same for Technical University of Munich. They have a live chat function, as you can see on the right. You have the option to get in touch with library staff in case you have any questions. And also here, a very big topic, access to content out of the campus, working from home, remote access options, how to use remote access. Is also a very important topic, and libraries all over the place, they inform their users how to access content from home, the different options that are available. Next slide, please. And this is something I want to mention as part of my presentation. It's an article about federated access that was posted on the 29th of September in the Scholarly Kitchen, a guest post from Boston College. You should have a look at it. I highly recommend to read this article. It's a librarian telling how they have implemented federated access at their college, and that was a joint effort between the library and the IT department, and at the end it turned out that it worked well because it was a joint effort, but they also had obstacles. So just have a look at it. It's really an interesting read. Next one, please. Yeah, talking about access to content. And this is something I'd like to point out here. It's called persisted access, what we as a publisher offered our users and still offer our users. The functionality is that you have to authenticate yourself only once with your username and password from your institution, and then you will be remembered for a duration of 90 days. A cookie is placed in your browser, and you need to use the same device, and then it works for 90 days. That means there's no need to authenticate again every time you want to access the platform, because you have that done already, and you will be remembered. And we have extended this service until the 31st of January 2021 as a service to our users to make it as easy as possible to access our content. Next slide, please.
Just a sec. Okay.
Yeah, that's up to you, Bob.
Okay, so I'm going to continue our world tour here and give you some examples of other libraries that and what they are doing. I think I'm going to try a little experiment here. I do have a poll question that I would like to ask the people who are watching, and I'm going to see if I can launch this. And right now we're asking, let's see. Well, maybe I'm going to not do that. So far, we're getting people who are responding. Libraries seem to be, everybody's saying that they're open to at least some degree. So that's interesting. I did not know that. I think our U.S. colleagues, you'd probably find that some would not have their building open, but we have a very international audience today, so I'll close that. And just 1 second. Okay, so let me show you some other examples of what libraries are doing here. The American University in Beirut has sent a nice message to its faculty, kind of outlining for them the various services that are now available. And I think this is important. Libraries do want to address their faculty in a special way to support their curriculum needs and any kind of reserves and other kinds of special services that faculty might use. I think the librarians feel that they want to, be extra supportive of their faculty at this time, who are experiencing a real change in the way that they are doing their work. So try to work as a team. This is a little blurb from the United Arab Emirates University. They decided that the library decided to put together a newsletter, COVID-19 research newsletter, especially for their faculty and students. A lot of aggregated public health information, and this is their unique effort to support their university. Now we're switching over to India, and one of the largest consortia in India. This kind of aggregate site is putting at front and center their off-campus and remote access to online services, making it very clear that this is, how to get to those online resources. The COVID-19 material is down below it. You can see at the very bottom, the banner running across gives you some sense of their tremendous digital collections, journals, books, and resources, databases, and other things. Here is another picture from India, the Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi. What I wanted to point out here is that, the library these days, for many purposes, is the website, is the library website. And what is the most important thing that people need to do when they come to the library website? Probably do a search. They're looking for research information. They're looking for study information. And so the bigger you can make the search box, and the more prominent, the better. Also featured on this page, and rather prominently, is the chat. You have any problems with these selections, just press the chat button and somebody's going to be there right with you to help. Switching over to Hong Kong. This is the Chinese University of Hong Kong. They are putting their support front and center. I could have taken many slides of this particular site, lots of helpful things here, but off-campus access to library resources is featured. Other kinds of support services certainly there. So we've got a really nice array here. I'll move to the next. This is a university in China that is making it clear that the best thing to do if you need to talk about your work is to make an appointment before you go to the library. And so making an appointment is very much encouraged so that you can be met and have your normal, safely distanced interaction with a librarian, and they can prepare for it. Another example from China. This is, kind of with the QR codes at the bottom. What they are asking is that they're telling people is that to come into the facility, there will be, a temperature check. They also recommend that an appointment be made for visits. So that is being stressed. And now we're going to switch back to Holger, who's going to tell us about some things that Springer Nature itself is offering. Okay.
Exactly. Thanks, Bob. And on the following slides, I would like to show you how Springer Nature supports the research community during the pandemic. And I've listed here some facts. We offered and still offer free access to over 60,000 articles and book chapters that are related to coronavirus. And we had a huge textbook campaign that started in April until the end of July, where we offered free access to 500 key textbooks that were freely available to download on our platform. And users made highly use of it. And I will also show you on the following slide some statistics about it. And since January, we published over 10,000 new articles related to COVID-19. And we also made research data available for free and for reuse. And also, for example, on Research Square, we made available over 1,300 preprint articles related to COVID-19 to use. We will, of course, continue and monitor the current situation, and we will adapt as necessary then until the pandemic is over then at the end, hopefully. Yeah, so that was okay. Next slide, Bob.
Okay.
And if you are interested in the free content that Springer Nature is offering, you can see here on this slide on the bottom the URL. We have created a website related to free content in terms of COVID-19, not only for journal articles, also for books, as I already mentioned. And here you find all free content that is available as part of the free content initiative from Springer Nature. Next slide, please. And what I would like to show here are some figures related to the impact of the current situation and how this has impacted our usage in the past months. And as you can see on the top left, we have a plus of 46% more downloads in the timeline from January to June this year compared to 2019. And this is also due to the situation that people are working from home, students are having digital semesters, researchers have to work from home. And yeah, this is, so to say, impacted by this. And we have a number of article downloads of 28 million for COVID-19 journal content. And we had, as part of the already showed free textbook initiative, 1 billion chapter downloads in the time from April to the end of July. On the left side, at the bottom, you see the website visits, and you see that we have from January to June an increase of plus 51%, and you could also see here separated by platform. For Springer Link, that means plus 52% visits, Biomed Central 67% plus, and nature.com we have 46% increase in traffic. And all in all, the institutional downloads increased by 17%. This number is globally and measured since April this year. And we have already excluded open access and archival content. And as you can see here, for the Springer Link journals, we have an increase of 11% for the ebooks, and that's really outstanding and amazing. I have to say, we have 65% increase in downloads, and for the nature journals, we have an increase of 25%. Next slide, please. And having a look at the submissions, the number of submissions, as you can see, we have an increase of 26% of submissions. Not surprisingly, for medicine, we have a plus of 51%, but as you can see here, also for the humanities and social sciences, there is an increase of plus 30%. And the number of published articles, we have 192,000 articles published. That's 11% more than in 2019 in the period of January to June. As already mentioned, 10,000 new articles related to COVID-19 already published, and we have an increase of 15% open access articles to a total of 46,000. And for the subscription articles, we have an increase of 10% to a total of 147,000 articles. Next slide, please. And here, I think that's also interesting to see the surge of the submissions from the countries. Yeah, is really also in the focus where countries are most affected, so to say, like India, for example. There is an increase of 43% of submissions. In Italy, 38%, and Brazil, for example, 35%. So also these countries were hit most by the coronavirus in the last couple of months. Next slide, please. Talking about remote access, I already mentioned this, and just as an update, as I said, we want to extend persistent access on the platform till the January the 31st, 2021. So to make it as easy as possible for users to use our content, and so that they only have to authenticate once, and then they are so to say, have free access and will be automatically authenticated as soon as they are coming back to the platform. Next slide, please. Yeah, and last but not least, we also adapted our business model for ebooks, and we also offer, and this is only for the English language packages. We offer different models of these new ebook models. What I have here on my slide is called Access and Select. It's an evidence-based selection model for ebooks, and so the library could purchase at the end of the year the ebooks that were most used by the user, so to say. And we really adapt in this case, and that's why I show this example here, to the needs of our customers, because also a lot of libraries were hit in terms of budget cuts as a side effect, so to say, of the pandemic. And so it is also for small organizations where the budget is not that much till the end of the year. That's an option to choose additional content on a single title basis. So if you are interested in these different models we offer, there was also a press release that went out a couple of days ago from Springer Nature. You can have a look at the press release, and you could also get in touch with your regional sales contact to get some more information of these different models. So that's it, I think, from my part. Thank you very much.
That's great, Holger. Thank you for going through some of those things that Springer Nature is doing, and this gives you a look at the two of us. We'll turn our cams back on in a second if there are any questions. But I did want to mention and give thanks to a friend of mine, Arabella Halfzappel, who is e-resources manager at Middlebury, for talking to me extensively about preparations for the fall and the things that her library was doing, and that did help inform this to make sure we were in touch with reality and what was really happening at colleges, and that's important to not just be off on our own doing this. We also had a lot of help from our account development colleagues around the world who tapped into their clients in different parts of the world. We had more folks giving us content than we could manage to show today, but we selected what we could. I will also mention that this slide presentation will be made available along with the recording of this session. And at the tail end of this, there is a couple of extra pieces of information at the end of the slideshow that I think we have time. I'll just show them to you. The first one is some backup material that is essentially the best resources I could find for curriculum adaptation to the pandemic situation. And so we have some different ideas about course design and some models of online teaching. And then lastly, there is some recommended reading that I have from two different college libraries. The one on the left I thought was very important to keep in mind. That is that even though we have to embrace a lot more technology and digitization now, Williams College folks the teachers are encouraged to teach the way that is most comfortable for them. And so, to bring as much touch and humanism into the experience as possible, to be comfortable with what they do, not use technology that they're not comfortable using, and to manage online curriculum in a way that is comfortable to each and every faculty member. On the right-hand side, I thought was a very interesting story about how at Trinity College, that's Hartford, Connecticut, how they had to make a special effort to bring their small college, up to speed with digitization, using resources like student interns to help find internet access for students who were going to be learning from home in all different parts of the world. So I thought I would just show you that there's some extra material there. I'm going to turn my webcam back on. If there, we have a colleague who's been quietly in the background, Denise Agas, who's been helping us. Thank you, Denise. I don't know that there's any questions. I think I saw somebody brought in an example of something that they had done. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. There's a good question. Let's see if between us, Holger, you and I can tackle this. The question reads, it's really interesting to see the increase in book chapter downloads in comparison to the journal articles. What do you think is the reason behind the increase in the percentage of usage of journal articles, only 11%, in comparison to book chapters, 65%? Do you think this is an indication of potential use of book chapters and hence the overall book performance? So that's a good question. Do you want to try one first, Holger, and then I'll try?
I would recommend you go first, if
Okay.
you don't mind, Bob.
Yep, I can do that. One of the reasons that you may be seeing more chapters is, first of all, we're the largest publisher of scholarly books in the world. So we have a tremendous portfolio. We publish over 10,000 books a year in English and over 13,000 books altogether per year. So that's a big portfolio of new content, and we're very prolific. And a lot of authors want to publish with us. So a bigger portfolio is part of the reason. Another reason is that we do have a very prominent way of portraying our, button to download a whole ebook. You can obviously pick just a chapter if you want, but we also have the option to download the whole ebook. If you press the chapter to download the whole ebook, we'll count 10 chapters. If the book has 10 chapters, it'll be a count of 10. Now, having said all that, probably the biggest driver of our book downloads was our free textbook program that went from April, as Holger pointed out, from April through July. We made available over 400 textbooks for free to be downloaded with no DRM. And actually, those 400 plus textbooks, when I looked at the most used books for 2020 so far, which a report that I got, I think, yesterday and processed it, the top of the list of most downloaded content was those free textbooks. So they are very important drivers. We didn't hold back. We put some very nice textbooks in there, and the point of our textbook program was to help faculty and librarians who had never had our electronic textbooks have a chance to use them, see them, try them, download them. And as a lot of you may know, we for licensed content or content we make available for free, there is no digital rights management. So you download the book to your device of choice and you have it. And you might think that only academics would download it. We found that a lot of corporations did download those textbooks. They needed them seemingly as much as the academics needed them. Is there more, Holger, that you can think of?
As you can also already mentioned, Bob, the textbooks are heavily used by students, and I can speak from my region, for example. In this case, we have huge downloads for textbooks. I mean, this is for the German ones mainly, which were not part of this initiative, but for the English ones, more and more universities, especially in my region, are using English language content. So there was also a high number of downloads for the English textbooks we offered. And as you already pointed out, I mean, it's so easy, and that's what we also receive back as feedback from the users. To download the whole book is just a click, and that's pretty much it. And then people have a more detailed look after downloading the book on the platform. And yeah, as you already said, I mean, it's easy to use. There's no DRM, so they are used heavily. Yeah. And also the counting is in this case important, as you already mentioned, and that we count per chapter, so to say. And then that is also an explanation why we have a huge number of downloads here for the books. Yeah.
We got a nice example of some COVID-19 resources from a participant here from Bangladesh. I've just copied in the URL into the chat. If people have a chance and are interested and would like to cut and paste that example from Bangladesh, please do. We're glad to take that on board. Yeah, I think we're toward the. I think we're kind of at the end of our prepared materials. I don't know that there's any other questions that are outstanding? Just
Doesn't
taking
seem
one
so.
more
I
look.
think that's it. It was the last
Okay.
one.
All right. Well, then I think I'm going to say have a wonderful day, rest of your day or evening, weekend. Greetings from Massachusetts, and I hope you have had at least some good experience with your Frankfurt Book Fair this year, and also my best wishes that we have an in-person Frankfurt Book Fair again next year.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bob. Also from my side, thanks again to the attendees for listening. We hope you found this presentation interesting. And as I said already at the beginning, fingers crossed that we have an on-site event again as of next year, and have a good rest of the day. Stay safe and stay healthy, and all the best to you, and hope to see you all soon. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.